Okay, I think we're recording. So for today's presentation, we're going to be talking about 4 different things, just to make sure you all are prepared what to pack before coming to KU. So first off, we're going to think about some questions to consider, especially too, as I think when thinking about what you may need to bring when it comes to academic materials, if it's bedding, furniture, it may be kind of daunting and you may not be fully aware of all of the things that you may need to bring. So we're first going to think about some questions that you can kind of have on your mind to start thinking about what essentials you may need to bring with you. Then we're going to move on into people who are living on campus. So what items you can bring and what items you cannot bring when living on campus. We're also going to specify different like off-campus housing items that you may need to consider that on-campus people may not have to consider. And then also our commuter students, thinking about what academic materials and other resources that you may need to be aware of if you're commuting to campus. And pretty much throughout the presentation, if y'all have any questions, feel free to interrupt me or to utilize the chat. I want to make sure that this is something that you're able to gain any and all information that you want out of this presentation. Okay. Okay. So first, some questions to consider. Like I said, it may be a little bit daunting to think about what you may need to bring, what you may not bring when coming to campus. And so certain things that you may want to think about is the space. You know, you may not have a lot of space. You may be sharing a room with somebody. So you may need to be very intentional with what you're bringing and maybe what you're not bringing. You also may have a roommate. So thinking about, you know, how are you going to split on cleaning supplies or like appliances? Like, is somebody going to bring a mini fridge, or are you going to bring a microwave to make sure that you have any and all necessities that you may need? For those that are living off campus, is your apartment furnished? Is it unfurnished? What type of furniture or appliances are included in your apartment that you won't have to bring? Or certain things to consider. For those who are going to be parking on campus, starting to think about location. Where are you going to park? Where are your classes located? What's the closest parking lot to make sure you're not walking halfway across campus to get to your classes? If you're planning on using the bus system, making sure like, what bus route do I need to use to make sure I can get from one area of campus to the other area of campus to make sure I am at my classes in a reasonable amount of time. And then lastly, I think something, especially coming to KU, you're here for school, thinking about what academic materials you may need to help you be successful coming to campus is another thing to kind of start thinking about what items you may need to bring when coming here. So now we're going to kind of shift into on-campus housing items. So I kind of listed generally a bunch of different things kind of broken down by different categories that you may need for when you're living on campus. A lot of these items too may be essential for people who are living off campus. This is not a fully comprehensive list. I really want to kind of stress that outright. There's a lot of things on here too, but this may not be everything that you may need. There also may be additional things on here that you may not want to bring or want to purchase, and that's completely okay too. I just wanted to make sure I gave you as much information to kind of get you started and kind of moving forward. So when it comes to bedroom supplies, I'm thinking about maybe getting like a comforter, blankets, sheets, pillowcases, getting a laundry basket and laundry detergent for doing laundry later, clothes hangers if you have access to a closet, you know, lamps, like desk lamps, floor lamps. When it comes to bathroom, making sure you have any and all the essential medications that you may need. Toiletries, which can be, you know, your toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, conditioner, things like that. Towels, your shower caddy, especially, that's a really nice thing where you're able to put all of your essential like shower items in this kind of like, each one's looks different. Some are like kind of cloth, other ones are kind of like mesh, where you're able to put all of your shower items, especially if you're in a building that has like traditional bathrooms where it's you know, just rooms and then the bathrooms are on like one side of the floor. Or even if you're sharing a bathroom with somebody else, having a shower caddy can be really nice to kind of transport things from your room to the bathroom. So you just, or you could leave stuff in the bathroom. It all kind of depends the building that you're in. Having a bathrobe, getting toilet paper, maybe something you may take into consider in certain on-campus spaces compared to others, because that really applies to on-campus apartments and suites that have bathrooms. Cleaning supplies can be really great. When it comes to kitchen stuff, thinking about cups, plates, bowls, utensils, maybe a water bottle. I love my reusable water bottle. I bring with it everywhere with me. Maybe a refrigerator. This has to be like a mini fridge, and it can be no more than 4.5 cubic feet. So it's like just a mini fridge. Don't bring an actual fridge to you on campus. A microwave, it needs to be less than 1,000 watts. Maybe dish soap and dish towels. If you have some dishes that you want to clean, make sure you have those cleaning supplies necessary. When it comes to academic supplies, maybe having a backpack, pens and pencils, notebooks, making sure you have your photo ID can be really important, just for any like documentation purposes. Your medical insurance cards or immunization records. And then if you have like a debit and a credit card, that may be something nice to bring and have on hand as well coming to campus. With electronics, these could be like charging cables that you have, surge protectors, which are the things you plug into the wall that have a bunch of the different outlet holes, your computer, cell phone. When it comes to cleaning, I know we talked about laundry detergent, having a waste basket just in case, trash bags, sponges for cleaning, dust cloths to dust your area, and then maybe disinfectant spray just to keep things relatively clean within your space. And then some just like other items to consider too. If you need an umbrella, especially too as it rains. So you may need an umbrella to walk to class, especially too as with your on-campus or off-campus apartment. You want to make sure it's a home. So, bringing necessary decorations to make sure that you feel like you have a home away from home. Using push pins to hang things on the walls. And then something else is like any necessary documents needed for employment on campus. So if any of you are planning on working on campus, bringing necessary documentation can be really helpful, especially if you are considering and thinking about working on campus. It can be really good. So I know we kind of talked about things you can bring, but now I want to kind of focus on some things that you can't bring. So the following items that I listed are kind of prohibited in all communities. So the scholarship halls, apartments, and the residence halls. So these are things like command strips. So, or I forget what it's called. It's like a white spongy adhesive too. So command strips and the white spongy adhesive. These are prohibited in the all communities on campus because when sometimes taking them off the wall, this will peel the paint and cause paint chips, which then is a potential damage you may need to pay back to housing, which I don't want y'all to have to do. So using push pins or thumbtacks on the sheetrock walls, or using tape for block or plaster walls. I want to make sure you don't chip the walls and have to pay for any damages. So making sure, don't use command strips or like the white spongy adhesive to put things on your walls. Use push pins or thumbtacks or tape. Don't bring any halogen lamps, space heaters, window or like freestanding air conditioners, like the air conditioners you put in the windows, candles or incense, hoverboards. You're not allowed to smoke or bring alcohol. So the halogen lamps, the space heaters, hoverboard, and candles, it's a fire hazard. So that's why those things aren't considered and you can't bring those to campus, because we want to make sure that you are being safe. If you have like hot tools for your hair, so like a curling iron or flat iron that you want to bring to campus, make sure it has an automatic shut off on the device. We just want to make sure that y'all are being safe and don't have any fire hazards coming into the residence halls. Thank you, Allison. So fans will be okay. So if you have like little desk fans or like trying to think of like the square fans that you can put on like the floor, those are fine. These are just a little bit of the items that you just can't bring, but fans completely okay. So like desk fans or like the little like the floor fans you can put on the floor. Does that make sense, Allison? Okay, awesome. So let's continue. So some other things that are prohibited in specifically the residence halls and scholarship halls. These items are prohibited. It's mainly kitchen items that I've included here because in the residence and scholarship halls, they don't have a kitchen space within the room, and you can't have anything that potentially has an open heating element. Yet again, a potential fire hazard. Some of the communities, or most of the communities, I should say, have a community kitchen and should have appliances for you to use if you want to cook. So you just, in the residence or scholarship halls, you can't have air fryers, toasters, toaster ovens, hot plates, electric skillets, instant pots, rice cookers, or wax warmers, and any other appliances with an exposed heating element, kind of like a George Foreman grill as well. Just like I said, there's not really kitchen space in the residence or scholarship halls. There's a community kitchen space that you'll be able to utilize and have appliances there as well. Just can't have these things in your room because of a fire hazard. If you have any questions too, for those that are living on campus about the move-in process, the KU Student Housing Handbook, I think is something really important to read through because it kind of talks about all of the expectations that are being asked of you when moving on campus. So definitely read the KU Student Housing Handbook and any and all items to bring too, because KU housing adds a little bit more that I didn't specify. So looking at like, what the move-in process looks like, the KU Student Housing Handbook, and different items to bring / not to bring. You can visit housing.ku.edu/move. That is their move-in website and provides all of the dates for move-in and all of the necessary things for you to be successful moving in. So that's kind of like my portion on campus housing. Any other questions before I move into like off campus housing items? Okay, so then I'm going to go on to off campus items. So with off campus housing, a lot of the items that you may bring, so like when it comes to like bedding, laundry detergent, the waste baskets, a lot of the items that you may be considering for living on campus may also, you may be bringing off campus with you, but there may be some additional items that you may need to consider bringing. So a really important thing to kind of start thinking about what you may need to bring versus what you may not need to bring when living off campus is very important. Looking at your apartment's website or their leasing online portal where you may be making your monthly rent payments, or even contacting your leasing office to first understand the floor plan of the apartment. Are you going to have a roommate? Is it with a living room connected with your individual rooms in a central area? Are you going to have, bedding, like a bed frame provided to you, like dressers? Thinking about like what your space is going to look like. So if they have like images of your apartment's layout to gain a better understanding of the space you'll be moving into, thinking about what you may want to consider bringing versus what you may not want to bring. Asking if the space is furnished or unfurnished, I think is really important. And then seeing out what type of furniture they're actually including. So like I said before, like, are they going to include a dresser? It's a nightstand, bed frame. Are they going to include a mattress too? Trying to figure out what items are included in an apartment is really, really important, just to make sure you're not bringing, if they have a mattress and you bring your own mattress, that's an expense that you may not have had to purchase. So definitely contact either the leasing office, go on the leasing online portal or your apartment's website to basically figure out that information. Also, if you realize that you're having roommates, sometime with the leasing online portal, it will provide your roommate's contact information to start discussing and thinking about what kitchen items you may want to bring or split amongst each other, or certain cleaning supplies. So you're not purchasing all of the items just for yourself, and you can kind of, allocate, who's getting, the kitchen utensils, who's getting the plates, who's getting, the toilet cleaning supplies, who's getting like the general cleaning supplies. So you're not having to purchase everything. Kind of similar to the on-campus housing stuff, I kind of broke different items that you can bring and may want to consider kind of moving forward. This is not a fully comprehensive list, like I mentioned earlier. And a lot of the items for on-campus housing, you may also want to consider bringing if you're living off campus. So with our furnished apartments that you may be moving into, in the kitchen space, you may want to think about bringing like drinking glasses or mugs, plates and bowls, forks, knives and spoons, cooking pots, pans and baking sheets, just depending if you are liking to cook and want to cook. I am not a good cooker, so I don't know much about that, but thinking about those things, cooking utensils, maybe small kitchen appliances like a microwave, a toaster, a blender, and then maybe food storage containers, especially if you're cooking at home, knowing you have places to store your food to put in the fridge. When it comes to the bathroom, you may need to bring shower curtains for your bathroom. And then in the bedroom, just to create some extra storage, especially too, sometimes the rooms may be smaller than anticipated. Getting storage containers for like extra closet space or just extra storage in general can be really great to have, just to make sure you can organize things effectively and just make sure you're able to maximize your space. For those that may be moving into unfurnished apartments, pretty much thinking about similar items for the furnished apartments. So like the kitchen items, bathroom items, and bedroom items, but this may also include like furniture. So like in the kitchen, maybe getting a kitchen table, some seating, the bedroom, thinking about a bed frame, box spring, or in a mattress, a dresser, or like in a nightstand. And if there's like a living room for your unfurnished apartment, you may want to think about getting like a couch or TV stand if you're going to be using that as a space for you and your roommates to spend time with each other. So this kind of like the difference between the two. In on-campus housing so Allison asked, in on-campus housing, are mini blenders okay? I don't think you can have a blender in your room, especially if you're living in a residence or scholarship hall. I don't think you can have a blender. If you're living in an on-campus apartment, you can have a mini blender as an appliance. Because in the apartments, they have a designated kitchen space, whereas the residence halls and scholarship halls don't have one within the room. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, awesome. So any questions about, off-campus housing, different items that you may need to think about bringing between furnished apartments and unfurnished apartments? Or just any questions with off-campus housing in general? Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to commuter students. So students who are going to be commuting to campus. These things may also apply to those who are living on campus or off campus, but also are commuter students as well. So for those who are commuting to campus, you want to maybe think about the different academic materials and other items that can really make sure you're successful when classes start. So different items that you may want to have in your backpack can include like hand sanitizer, tissues, pens and pencils, notebooks, maybe a calculator. The different type of calculator may depend on the type of classes you're taking. You may need like a 4-function calculator if you're taking business classes, or if you're taking like upper level calculus classes, you may need a more heavy dutier technical calculator. So kind of all depends on what calculator you may need for your classes. Definitely looking at the syllabus and figuring out what items you may need can be really helpful in thinking about what you may also need to pack in your bag as well. Like I said earlier, not a fully comprehensive list, but some items you can think about considering bringing with you. So it's a calculator, laptop, And then maybe an insulated water bottle. I know I've been stressing about my water bottle a little bit, but especially too, as if you're walking around campus and spending a good portion of the day on campus, there's refillable water stations that you can refill your water bottle at. And so having a water bottle that is insulated, it'll stay cool for the good portion of the day, especially when it's hot outside. And especially if you're walking around campus a lot to get to and from your classes, you want to make sure you're hydrating and taking care of yourself. So an insulated water bottle works wonders, especially walking around campus. So those are just like a handful of items you may want to consider about bringing. You can also consider bringing like binders or like folder organizers if you like to organize your items and your academic materials, kind of separating them by classes, kind of what works best for you, and making sure you're bringing those items in your backpack so you can be successful when classes are going on. So also, if you're commuting to campus, a really great thing to be considering and thinking about is parking. And so I included kind of some tips and some resources when it comes to parking on campus, especially when the semester gets into full swing. It gets very busy and very hectic on campus. So if you realize you're going to be driving to campus and parking on campus, you want to make sure you come to campus relatively early before class to park your vehicle so you have enough time to make it to class. So this may sound a little bit nutty, but maybe trying to come an hour before classes start can be really important. I say an hour because you don't want to budget 30 minutes and then be looking for a parking spot for 30 minutes and then have to rush to class. So the more time you budget in your schedule to get to campus, but then also to park on campus to give yourself enough time to get to class okay, and then be able to get into your classroom, really important. When you are parking on campus, you want to make sure that you are parking in the correct parking lot that corresponds with your parking pass, because there's a lot of different lots that are on campus. There are red lots, yellow lots, blue lots. There's also gold parking. You want to make sure that, so for instance, I have a yellow parking pass. And so my yellow parking pass works with only the yellow parking spaces that are on campus. So you want to make sure, and there's normally a sign before you go into a parking lot that will say the name of the parking lot and what parking passes are able to park in said lot. So make sure you're looking for those signs and making sure you're parking in the correct parking lot. And there's also, this is just like a tip too, if you Google KU campus parking map, it should be one of the first or second link. It will provide a PDF that will show you the different parking lots that are on campus and what parking passes are acceptable in those lots. So literally, if you just Google KU campus like parking map, it should be one of the first 1 or 2 links, just to kind of see if you're a visual person, which ones. Okay. Desiree actually linked it in there. Thank you so much, Desiree. That can be really helpful too before coming to campus and kind of planning where you're going to potentially park and where you can park before coming to your classes. So just to be more proactive can be really helpful. If you park in the wrong parking lot, it has happened to me before. Previously, you may get a parking ticket. At KU, if you receive your first parking ticket, you can actually have your ticket canceled by completing a parking quiz by KU Parking. It is on their parking.ku.edu website. So you'll be able to get that parking ticket waived when you get your first parking ticket, which is good. So you can, kind of waive that and kind of learn from that, and then realize next time, make sure you're parking in the correct lot. So to learn more about parking on campus and the different parking lots and different parking permits, because there's a couple different options you have with parking permits, if it's through the lots, the garages, go to parking.ku.edu. It's a really great one-stop shop for any and all questions that you may have related to parking. So next thing to consider is if you're commuting, you may be using the bus system as well. And so the bus system is really convenient to be able to get you to and from classes and not have to walk everywhere. I think it's really great. But just as much as parking, if you're using the bus system, you want to make sure you're budgeting enough ample time to reach your classes using the bus system. And there are multiple different routes that the buses take. And so you want to make sure you're being proactive in finding which routes will take you from your current location to your intended destination. So if you're in like a certain parking lot and you need to get to a certain class building, you want to make sure that you're taking the correct route and it's not taking you to Iowa Street by the Walmart. It's taking you to Strong Hall or, Watson Library. So want to make sure you're going the correct place and not going somewhere completely off. So be proactive, figure out what bus route is going to best help you get from point A to point B. There's an app that you can download on your phone on the Google Play Store or the App Store. It's called My Bus Lawrence, and this literally shows you the bus routes in real time and where the buses are currently. So you can make sure you're getting the right bus that you need to get to, and also budgeting enough time to get to the bus stop. So I have it on my phone. It's really great to show you the bus routes in real time and where the buses are. So you're making sure you're able to get to the bus on time. And so if you have any questions about like bus transportation system at KU and in the Lawrence community, because we have a bus system that runs through Lawrence as well. If you go to transportationservices.ku.edu/bus service, this will provide you additional information that could be helpful just to know more about the bus system on campus. So any questions on like parking, the bus system, academic materials that you may need, or just any questions in general that you may have now that we're kind of close to the end of our presentation? Any and all questions we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Matthew, for putting all of that together. It's the purpose of this series is to help you think about and kind of reflect on these things before coming to campus, because this is the first time you've ever gone to college. And our office in particular, serving first generation college students as one of our main populations. You don't know what you don't know, and the folks that you rely on most heavily to get advice might be your parents. And if they also don't know, this can be a really challenging and scary time. And while we do refer to a lot of KU websites, they're also not the most intuitive to navigate. So that's why we like to do these types of presentations where we specifically point out the places to go and point out those little tips, like the ability to get your first parking ticket forgiven, or the fact that the Lawrence and KU buses are intertwined so that you know that transportation is something that is available to you, not only on the KU campus, but also in the Lawrence community, since you'll be part of the Lawrence community while you're here at KU. Matthew also hinted a little bit at our next presentation, which is on managing money. And that's going to cover, not just how you would manage money or do a budget, but how do you get money, on-campus jobs, things like that, and talk through some of those. How do you get campus jobs? How do you support yourself while you're here? Because, again, having low income students and working class students be another one of our main populations. That's something that we know ties into all of this stuff. So thinking through what you're bringing to campus, how are you going to afford all of this stuff? How are you going to spread that out? So we want to make sure that you're prepared, because an idea that we promote is that preparation is a form of self-care. So thinking through all of these things now, making a list, making time to have those conversations with your future roommates about, what are we going to bring? All of that is absolutely self-care and contributing to your wellness and hopefully reduced stress and anxiety once you get in Lawrence and at KU. In addition to that, if you all are not signed up for the options program, that is something that is offered through our office to our main population. So low income or working class students, first gen, and students of color. And it is an opportunity to move in a week early before classes start and then participate in a lot of programming to help you form community and get connected and just sort of get settled in before the rush of classes and all of that starts. So that's just sort of a snapshot of why we're here, what we're doing, why we're doing the things that we're doing, and where we go from here for the rest of the summer. Are there any questions at all about anything you've seen in this presentation? Or also, if you're thinking ahead to some of the future sessions and have specific questions that you want to be sure we address, you can email arec@ku.edu, and then that way we can be sure to incorporate your direct questions into the presentation. We wouldn't say, X person asked this question, but we would make sure that we had an answer there for you. And another thing that we like to point out, we are here to be a resource. A main purpose of our office is to be a connector to other spaces on campus. So we are definitely not the experts on housing. We can answer some questions. Allison, you had great questions about the types of things that can be brought or not brought. But we want to make sure we also connect you and direct you to the experts so that we aren't giving you information that could potentially be outdated depending on the resource that we used. So, please do feel free to connect with housing if you have any very specific questions. But also, if you're trying to connect with someone on campus and can't get an answer, our office can be a helpful resource to maybe connect you with a person in housing that you can talk to if you're not getting responses, or we can do that research for you if you're having trouble getting someone to address your questions. We want you to feel supported and like you're not alone in this journey.
Yeah, thank you, Desiree. I think definitely making sure, being proactive, that's why we listed these things. And also we're a resource too. We're here to help.
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate you all attending and taking the time to be here with us. We will be doing this again, I believe next Wednesday is going to be our money session. There will be a few breaks over the summer where we incorporate our parent sessions. So just be sure to follow the AREC on social media and connect. That way you can keep up with our programming throughout the academic year as well. And let us know if you have any questions in the meantime, and we'll look forward to seeing you all in the future. Take care, everyone.
Thank y'all.